On the day I was supposed to try on my wedding dresses with my boyfriend of 7 years, I rushed over to the bridal boutique and arrived with a heart full of happiness. As I walked inside, it just so happened I heard my boyfriend talking to his friend. "You had just registered your marriage with Anne at the civil affair office yesterday. Now, you are here, taking Kelly Thomas to try on the wedding dresses. Don't you have any worry what kind of mess Kelly will do to you if she knows?" There was a helpless look on my boyfriend's face as he answered in a hoarse voice. "My brother passed away in a car accident, and Anne is carrying his child. If I don't step up and take her as my wife, how will they survive? I'll spend my whole life making it up to Kelly. Just keep your mouth shut. She must never know about this," he added. Their conversation had been like an icy dagger piercing through me, extinguishing every bit of joy I'd felt after receiving my pregnancy report earlier this morning. I woke up excited and rushed to the hospital to collect the results. I couldn't wait to tell him the good news in person at the boutique. However, before I could, he hit me with the cruelest truth. If he was already married to someone else, why bother holding a wedding with me? I didn't have time to answer my own question before the wedding boutique's designer approached with a bright smile. "Miss Thomas, the custom wedding dress Mr. Green commissioned for you has arrived. You can try it on now." Her words jolted me and pulled me back to reality. Lennox Green had poured his heart and soul into this wedding. He had done more than anyone else for it. The wedding ring and dress had both been designed and overseen by him. I steadied myself and headed toward the fitting room where the dress was displayed. That's when I saw a familiar figure. It was Anne Garland. When she heard the assistant directing me, she turned and greeted me with a smile, her voice warm and friendly. "Kelly, you're finally here. Come and see how beautiful your wedding dress is." Her demeanor was as natural and kind as ever, just like a caring older sister. Back when Lennox's brother was alive, I had made a conscious effort to befriend her and shared gifts and tips to build a good relationship with the woman who I thought would be my future sister-in-law. If I had not accidentally heard the words that Lennox and his friend had uttered among them, I would never have imagined that she would become the uncrossable barrier between me and Lennox. The memory of their conversation replayed in my mind. My gaze instinctively dropped to her still flat stomach, and a wave of bitterness welled up inside me. No matter what, she had a safe harbor to rely on, yet my child and I did not have the privilege. With a dark face, I turned my attention to the lovely wedding dress and said, "It really is beautiful. Do you want to try it on?" The words had barely left my mouth when an incredulous voice interrupted. "Kelly, what are you saying? This is your wedding dress. How could you let someone else try it on?" Lennox strode over, his tone tinged with anger, his gaze filled with disapproval. I remained calm, but my voice indifferent. "What's the big deal? I heard Anne didn't get to wear a wedding dress when she married your brother. Letting her try it on now could make up for that regret." Anne's expression softened when she heard my words. After all, what woman had not dreamed of being a beautiful bride? Perhaps Lennox also felt that what I had just said made sense, so his expression shifted slightly, and he refrained from saying anything further. Seeing his expression softened, I could see hesitation flash in Anne's eyes before she tentatively asked, "Can I really try it on?" I nodded, and gestured for the staff to assist her in changing into the wedding dress. Meanwhile, Lennox had already dressed in his groom suit. When he saw Anne was about to try on the wedding dress, he started loosening his tie, as if ready to change out of his suit. However, I stopped him. "Anne is pregnant. She's already uncomfortable as it is. What if something happens to her, and you're not here to help?" When he heard this, he stayed at put, and stood silently beside me to wait for her, though his unease could be seen vividly in his eyes. Noticing the change in his mood, I sneered. Before long, Anne emerged from the fitting room with the help of the staff. Since her pregnancy hadn't started showing yet and she had a similar frame to mine, the wedding dress fit her perfectly. Anne could not hide the excitement on her face, though she tried to curb it by asking timidly, "Lennox, how do I look in this? Is it nice?" Her voice drew Lennox from his dazed state. His eyes, which had lingered on her for a while, turned lucid, and he gave a soft hum. "Anne looks absolutely stunning. This dress seems like it was made just for her. How could I not let everyone appreciate such a beautiful sight?" Hearing my words, Lennox looked at me with disbelief written across his face. He knew me too well. I had always been protective of my things, especially something as meaningful as this wedding gown. However, now not only did I allow someone else to wear it, but I also praised her openly. He opened his mouth and said, "Kelly, you..." I blinked innocently and cut him off as I looked into his eyes. "Relax, I'm just saying. Anyway, I just remembered I have urgent work to finish at the office and have to return to the office in a hurry, so I'll leave you two to it." Without waiting for a reply, I turned and headed straight for the door of the bridal boutique. When he saw this, Lennox was about to follow me, but Anne reached out and stopped him. As I walked to the wedding boutique's door, I glanced back and saw Lennox carefully supporting Anne as they headed toward the fitting room. His touch was gentle, and his focus solely directed on her, as if no one else existed in his world. At that moment, I was in a trance. Was it truly responsibility that led him to marry her as he mentioned? Or had he fallen for her? I didn't have the answer, and I had no intention of humiliating myself by finding out. The next day, I arrived at the hospital for the preoperative examination as scheduled. When the doctor asked about the child's father, I replied lightly, "He's busy with work and couldn't make it." That morning, when I woke up, I had considered telling him about the baby, but after several unanswered calls, I gave up. By the time the procedure was over, I was pale and weak, so I had to lean against the cold wall for support as I made my way out of the hospital. When I walked into the main lobby, I saw Lennox. He was accompanying Anne for a prenatal checkup. As I looked at the family of three, I couldn't help but realize how much of an outsider I had become. The man who once vowed to love me forever no longer held me in his heart. On the way home, I stared out the car window at the familiar scenery flashing by. My mind replayed scenes from our past, when we were always by each other's side. I had known Lennox since high school. Back then, he was my desk mate. His feelings for me were never hidden, and I had known from the very beginning, so I shamelessly basked in his kindness. When we finally got together, his love became even more unrestrained. With him around, I felt carefree, as if nothing in the world could ever trouble me. Tears blurred my vision as I recalled those memories, and by the time I realized it, my face was already soaked with tears. The taxi driver noticed and handed me a tissue. "Young lady, there's no hurdle you can't overcome. Keep moving forward, and good fortune is waiting for you just ahead." I accepted the tissue and thanked him through my sobs. After paying the fare, I was about to call a friend to vent when I absent-mindedly opened my social media feed. That's when I saw Anne's latest post from just 5 minutes ago. Anne posted a picture of an ultrasound picture and one of Lennox lowering to examine a medical report. The caption read, "Baby, hurry up, come out. Your mommy and daddy can't wait to see you." When I scrolled down the post, I noticed that the first one to comment was Lennox's mother. She wrote, "Grandma is very excited too. I can't wait to see my first grandson." The comment section was flooded with replies from the Green family. It was evident from their words that they all knew about Lennox's marriage to Anne. I raised my hand, wiped the tears from my eyes, and went home. Before the wedding date between me and Lennox had been set, the Green family had already sent the customary gold jewelry and bridal gifts. Once I got home, I packed everything they had given me into a cardboard box. After that, I would sever all ties with the Green family. Following the abortion, my body was weak. I took a few days off work to rest. One afternoon, while I was half asleep, I vaguely sensed someone approaching. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw a familiar face. It was Lennox. He raised his and touched my hand. Realizing it was cold, he looked worried. "Kelly, are you sick? Let me take you to the hospital for a checkup, okay?" If this had been before, I would have thrown myself into his arms to seek comfort and warmth from him. However now, I pulled my hand away from his, tucked it under the blanket and said, "It's just a minor cold. There's no need to go to the hospital." Lennox didn't notice my lack of enthusiasm. He shook his head in exasperation. "If you were feeling unwell, why didn't you tell me? We're about to get married, so why are you keeping things from me?" When I heard the word married, it jolted me awake like a splash of cold water. Married? Oh, right. He had got married. I glanced at the cardboard box in the corner and spoke softly. "That's right. Since we're getting married soon, you should take your things with you today." Although he and I did not live at my place, he would occasionally stay over for some period of time, so there were quite a few of his belongings at my place. And on the day I returned from the hospital, I had packed all his things. Lennox, oblivious to the shift in my tone, smiled warmly. "All right, besides after the wedding, we'll be moving into the new house anyway." I did not say anything. That evening, he made me a comforting bowl of hot vegetable beef soup with boiled eggs before leaving with his belongings. As he stepped out, I said quietly, "Don't come over again for the time being. I'm sick and don't want to risk infecting you. Stay home and focus on becoming the most handsome groom." He gave me a resigned smile, but agreed nonetheless. In the following days, he didn't visit, but still texted me regularly. I replied with brief, perfunctory messages. Time flew by, and soon, the wedding day arrived.